may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in the scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Once coaches get involved, of course, they've got their own opinions about what fits best for what they want to do, and that could be drastically different than what the scouts say.
Well, you're looking at traits, and number one, he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
One thing good about Kevin, he's been with two other organizations, as well as being the commissioner of the Big Ten. He's been around.
The Bears.
With Greg Olson, Jerry didn't want to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. Nobody wanted to get rid of him. One guy wanted to get rid of him. Mike March, because Mike March didn't know what the hell to do with him. We tried to talk Lovey out of hiring Mike March for a month and a half. He's playing zone, but number one, he doesn't get enough depth with the drop. But who the hell's giving away? How many times does a 305, 310-pound defensive tackle drop into coverage, especially in a key situation?
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so often?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate. There's probably not as many real good quarterback evaluators as there needs to be.
The Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gabriel Talks Football. I am your temporary host for today. I wanted to come on here for the first show, especially the first show, just to make the announcement that the Gabriel Talks Football show will temporarily be broadcast here from Bears Country Productions. Jason here, my lovely co-host, excellent British mate, is going to be running the show with Greg moving forward. But I just wanted to be on here for the first show, just to make the special announcement. We are very, very excited and a little bit nervous to announce that Greg Gabriel is going to be joining us on our channel for at least the foreseeable future. And we will talk about that in a second when Greg comes on. How you doing, Jason?
Great, mate. Another victory Monday. Just
another victory Monday.
Keep coming, didn't they?
Yes.
Great time to be a Bears fan.
Had to change the thumbnail because at first we were the second seed and now we're the first seed. So who cares about us? Let's bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Greg Gabriel. How you doing, Greg?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, buddy. You're muted again.
It doesn't say I'm muted.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
We got you now.
Okay, we're good.
How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
So let's get the elephant out of the room and just kind of explain why we're doing this here.
Well, I think it was last Monday, not too long after Aldo and I did the podcast, he had a stroke. And I didn't find out about it until later in the week. You know, he was in the hospital, and then I got a text from him, and everybody, he's got a joint text on X too that he sent a thing out to, and then his wife contacted me. But he's doing good. Had a little conversation with him this morning via text. You know, he'd already been through one rehab session. He'd probably be in another couple weeks anyway, as he gets his strength up. This is the second time this has happened and really a year. So he's been a good friend and we've been doing this podcast for the last 6 years. This is 6 years. So, you know, I think we've built up a really good rapport with each other. But I'm excited to see what happens with this, with you guys. And you know, what's the old saying? The show must go on. So
Right.
We got wins to talk about.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous. I'm sure Jason is a little nervous too, but that's a good thing, right? We're gonna have fun.
Oh, maybe your mic isn't in properly, Greg. You're gone again.
You know what it is? I think it's just the switch, so I'm going to hold my finger on it. Can you hear me, Gal? Good?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah,
now.
that's better. Yeah.
I'm just going to have to hold my finger on it.
Well, first, I want to say that it's an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you join us on our channel to keep the show going. So, thank you very much for that, Greg. We'll make this happen. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to this.
No, it'll be a lot of fun, like it always is.
So, we started off Friday after beating the Eagles. We had the 2nd seed, and then the Rams lose to the Panthers. And here we sit. And I know we kind of talked about this yesterday. Doesn't matter until the season's over.
Right.
But right now, we are the number 1 seed.
Which is nice. And you know, I get where you guys are coming from as fans. I think a little bit differently. And I tweeted this out yesterday, and a lot of people agreed with me, but there was some that didn't. I don't know if you saw it. But being the number 1 seed now means nothing. It's where you stand in the actual standings through 12 games. But there's still 5 games to play, and the only time seeding counts is after the 17th game in another 5 weeks. So I know from the standpoint of players and from the front office, that's what they're going to drive home to the players, because you've done great up to now. Now you got to keep the pedal on the gas and bring it home. You know, if you go 5-0, you're going to be the number 1 seed. I think that's probably a little bit too much to ask for, but going into the season, I said all along, I said I'd be happy with 9 wins. That was my goal and what my anticipation was. But they've already hit that. You got 5 to go. So, I think it's realistic to say there's going to be 11 or 12. And I got a real good feeling about this week, especially the way, I did not think the Bears were going to win that game going into Philly. That's one I had in the L column. And the way they came out and played, they beat the hell out of that team. They beat the hell out of it.
Yeah.
If they do that to Green Bay, go up to Green Bay next Sunday and do that, it's going to be the same result.
Absolutely. I know the media are making a big deal of it, calling it a statement win. We've had a lot of flack for they're saying we're not beating any good teams, despite obviously the Commanders were 3-2 when we beat them at full strength and all the other stories. But that's the sort of question is this, you see it as a statement win? And do you think the Bears, you have to take them seriously now, surely, don't you? At this stage of the season with 9 wins, you'll get some lucky stuff or unlucky here and there, but surely now they're going to take the Bears seriously.
Yeah, no, no, we're not officially in the playoffs yet. You're not officially in until you get in. But I think it's definitely a playoff team. How the next 5 weeks go will determine if you win the division. Win the division, you're going to have at least 1 home game. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do you think from the NFL, other teams' point of view, obviously the fans go nuts, the media will do whatever they want to do to push a narrative. But will we have shown any other NFL teams anything different than they already didn't know already? Or, have we sort of surprised them, or will they have seen this coming?
I think most of the league is surprised how good the run game is right now. I really do. I mean, that was Philadelphia's a hard team to run on.
Oh, hell yeah.
And especially with the interior defensive line they have. And they just bullied those guys. I mean, for 3 years we've been hearing the Bears should have taken Jalen Carter, which was never going to happen because of the character issues.
Yeah.
But I don't think I heard his name called once in that game. I haven't re-listened to the game yet, but I do not recall hearing his name being called.
I think he got sacked, didn't he? It was when Trapillo got beaten off the edge that one time, and then the edge guy came in and essentially forced Caleb into Carter's arms, and I think it was him that got the sack.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Lee Breen said it there in the one sack. But other than that, you're right. I mean, I've seen clips this morning of essentially like Jackson just shifting him 5 yards laterally across the pitch to open up a run lane. We, like you said, absolutely manhandled them in Philadelphia. Crazy.
I thought the same thing, Brett. I didn't see a win here. Like it was strange because I didn't feel a loss coming, but I couldn't see the win. It was weird. It was like I didn't want to make like a score prediction about it or anything like that. But for some reason, in the back of my mind, I just felt like maybe we could win this game. And we just come out and just at one point I was screaming, "Don't even pass the ball one more time. Just keep running it down their throats." And
I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
And that's what they did.
Some people are complaining about Caleb's accuracy in that game. When you're in a game like that, very windy conditions, you have no idea when you're watching it on TV. When you're on the field, you see it. That wind had a lot to do with how the ball was thrown, the results of the passing game on both sides, not just for the Bears, but Philadelphia also. And so it's just, you got to deal with it. But it makes it more imperative that the ground game is working. But I think the Bears went into this game thinking that they could win up front, and they did. And that's what I like about this coaching staff is that they help instill the confidence of the players. They realize how to get the players up to a point where they figure they can do what they need to do, and the players put it on themselves or take it upon themselves to do what they need to do. And I just got, after that game, I worked for Philly for a year. It was as a consultant. It was Andy Reid's last year and then the beginning of the Chip Kelly era. And I know how tough it is to play in that stadium. And knowing that and knowing that the Eagles had come off a loss the previous week at Dallas, I thought there's just no way they're going to win this game. Philly's going to be ready. I didn't think it was going to be like going to Detroit after Detroit came off the Green Bay loss in week 2. But I thought, I always thought it was going to be a close game, but I just didn't see it happen. What I saw there was, I'm not going to say surprising, but showed you how good this team really is.
Yeah, agreed. Do you think it was also like the scheming? I think because obviously everyone knows how good Vic Fangio is, don't they? With what he's done with that Philly D. Do you think it was just some excellent sort of schemes come up from Johnson to kind of out?
Yeah, I think so. There's a bunch of people, some running backs and some other people. They just said, I was seeing it on X. Some of the posts they're paying, they say this run scheme is just awesome. The way they were doing certain things. Part of it was the way they used Komet, like you'd put Komet in motion and have the snap of the ball right when he was, say, between the guard and the tackle, and then he was a lead blocker into a hole, and it gave an extra blocker, a blocker with some momentum because he was already on the move, and it just opened up a lot of things.
I think you're right, and I noticed that too. It's like the motion is so important to this offense, isn't it, to get them started?
Guys, give me 1 second. My wife is texting me, and I just want to answer her.
Okay. Jason,
Yes.
running game. The running game. Like, I just can't. This is
Okay.
the first time we've had 2 100-yard rushers since Walter Payton and Matt Suey did it in 1985.
Don't steal my stats for Tuesday's show, mate.
Sorry. I'm still in your stat bomb already.
But it was. I know that you mentioned in the broadcast, that's the first time the Bears have had 2 running backs rush for 100 yards in a game since Matt Suey and Walter Payton in 1985. That's how good it was.
That was so long ago. I was with the New York Giants.
That long ago, was it, Greg?
And that was an awful year for us in New York because we played the Bears in Chicago in the playoffs.
That's it.
On a very windy day.
Yeah.
And Sean Landeta, who was a Pro Bowl punter, literally whiffed trying to kick a punt.
That was Sean Gale's touchdown, wasn't it? Yeah, the wind, he completely missed his punt, and Sean Gale picked it up and ran it in. Yeah,
he kicked air, and I don't think he ever lived that down. Sean Landeta is really a good guy, but The next year, though, we came back and we won that Super Bowl the next year.
Yeah.
So, and really that the Bears Super Bowls, the Super Bowl, was that
20.
Super Bowl 20?
20.
That's the first Super Bowl I ever went to.
Oh wow! It's the first one I saw as well, Greg. I was 14 years old, and
You went to it or just? Or...
No, God no. I just discovered the Bears, and because they were showing highlights on a Saturday afternoon, or Saturday morning, sorry, on one of our sort of terrestrial channels. And the Bears obviously had Walter Payton, and they got to the championship game, and I fell in love with them. And then the defense turned up in '85, as we all know. And I managed. That was the only game, the Super Bowl, that was shown live on TV at the time. And it's obviously like it was at such a late time in the morning, and I had school the next day. And I managed to see the first half live before my parents caught me watching it. And then they sent me to bed. And of course, we didn't have the internet in those days. I had to wait until on the teletext and for the first down paper to come out before I knew they'd even won. But I managed to watch the first half live as a kid, and then fell in love with them since then.
It's amazing. Like everyone on the British Bears is all the same. You, Chris, Dave, just 84, 85. That's what made the global fans of the Bears. Yeah, it's just amazing. I wanted to talk about the win too that you were talking about, Greg. You could see it. There was a point when they were showing Cairo Santos warming up. He was warming up, kicking into the net, and you could see the guy standing behind him, and his clothing is just go
right.
It looks like he was in a wind tunnel. You could see how bad the wind was at that moment.
And that stadium, having been in it, it's got a swirling type wind. Mm-hmm. And which is similar to Soldier Field. And not all stadiums are like that. Sometimes it goes in one direction, like at Wrigley Field. The wind's blowing one way. And granted, that's a baseball stadium, not a football stadium. But there are some football stadiums that just the way the architecture is, the way it's constructed, causes the wind to move different ways, and that's just one of the places that's tough. So it's tough to kick. It's tough on a windy day. Tough to kick. Tough to throw the ball.
And I was actually looking at that during the game. The wind was blowing slightly southeast, and I went and I looked at the stadium, how it's positioned. North, south, east, west, and the stadium is basically on an angle like this. It would actually be the opposite if you were looking at it on the map. And so the wind was blowing basically this, like it was going like crossed, like from one corner to the other corner of the end zone, that direction. No, Buffalo's a hard place too on windy days. In fact, Pep Hamilton was a great friend of mine. Now he's the offensive coordinator at Maryland. He told me this. I'm going to say this about a year ago. We were having a conversation, and he said the two toughest stadiums to play in are Soldier Field and the Browns Stadium. And I said, why is that? He goes, they're the only two stadiums that literally sit on the lake. And he goes, it's just the way the wind comes off the lake at those two places. Now, he's coached in Cleveland and he's coached here, so he knows what he's talking about. But he said, first time he was here, he was actually coaching for San Francisco. And the 49ers had a road game against, I think this was the year before he came here, road game against the Bears. And he said, the wind was so bad that when the quarterbacks went out just to warm up pregame, they couldn't throw with it down. They had to change the whole game plan an hour before the game, an hour and a half before the game, because they knew they couldn't throw the ball.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we have a quarterback who has a cannon for an arm, so I'm sure it's still it did affect his passes still, but what is the difference? Talk about the difference it makes having a cannon for an arm throwing in that kind of wind.
It's an interesting question, and a guy that I had a conversation about that particular subject was, I remember Jim Fossil. He was the head coach of the Giants my last 2 years with the Giants. He was assistant with us earlier. But Jim was a pretty good offensive coach. And he's the one who told me, he goes, it's not necessarily how hard you throw the ball. in the wind. It's how you spin the ball. If you have a real tight spin on it, he goes, it'll cut the wind. Obviously, velocity will help that. But if you throw a loose ball, so now it's a little bit wobbly, the wind's just going to take it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, right?
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you back to so you're from Buffalo,
Yep.
and you started off with the Giants, right?
No, I started off with the Bills.
With the Bills. Okay, so you started off with your home team, and then you went to the Giants and then the Bears, correct?
Right.
I always wondered why you gravitated towards the Bears. Like you're a Bears fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Bills fan too. So
You're a Bills fan too.
I'll always be a Bills fan.
I
My daughters are season ticket holders. They live there. So
I guess I always wondered, like, because you won a Super Bowl with the Giants.
Right. Won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants. Went to 3 when I was there.
Yeah. So I always wondered, like, why aren't you doing a Giants podcast instead of a Bears?
First of all, when I started with the Giants in '84, the Jerry Angelo was there. He was a scout, and Jerry and I just became really good friends. We worked together 3 years with the Giants, and then I think it was after the '87 draft that he went to Tampa as director of player personnel. But we remained very close friends. We ran into each other on the road a lot, always talked, had a lot of fun. So then it was, when he was up for this job, and by no means was he, quote, a lock, but he contacted me. He said, if I get this job, I want you to run the scouting department. I said, okay, you got a deal. So then all of a sudden, nothing was going on. There's no announcements coming out here, and it's like the middle of June. And Mark Hatley was here before that. Mark Hatley ran that draft, and some people think Hatley was fired. Hatley quit. He could not stand the media in Chicago.
No.
And
I don't blame him.
no, he had a problem. What the hell's the guy's name? Skip Bayless was working in Chicago at the time, and they had some back and forth that I guess got pretty ugly, and he just wanted out. And so, and where Mark wasn't the GM, he was vice president of player personnel. They really didn't have a GM in those previous few years. Anyway, they were going to go out and get and hire a GM, and there was, I can't think of the guy's name. He used to be with Pittsburgh, and then he's now deceased, but he was the guy that some people were pushing real hard for the job. A lot of people thought he was going to get it, and actually Ted Phillips didn't like it. But anyway, Jerry gets the job like on the 12th of June, called me right away, and I was in Chicago the next morning. But the reason I came here was because of that. I mean, number one, it's a better job. I was director of player development in New York, but that was a nice title. You had a little bit to do with decisions, but here I was running the whole department. And we didn't have, our situation was entirely different than they have now. Right now, from the general manager down, I was, called the scouting director, but my job was more player personnel director. Here they got, a bunch of guys. You got a general manager, assistant general manager, 2 directors of player personnel, assistant director of player personnel, all these layers. Yeah. And really what it is, it's titles. And what the titles mean is money. And so, yeah. So we didn't have that set up. We had Jerry at the top. Bobby DePaul ran the pro side. I ran the college side. That's it. Yeah. We had a very, small, unique triumvirate, so to say, running. And then obviously Cliff Stein came in after our first season and took over the cap duties. And he was very influential on a lot of things. But it was great. You didn't have all these layers of people that you had to go through. You know, if I needed something for the scouting department, I didn't go to Jerry. I went to Ted Phillips, because Ted Phillips, the guy that signed the checks. In other words, I had to like submit a budget. I had a budget every year. I ran that budget. I had to adhere to it. And so if something came up where I needed money that wasn't in the budget, I had to go to Ted. But he never said no. You just had to give him a good reason why.
Nice. Well, that's trusting your personnel, isn't it? It's trusting people who are on the ground, giving them that information. Why would you sort of go over your head?
I mean, you know, like in any business, you turn in a budget and you get a budget approved at a certain day, and then sometime in the middle of the year, things can change, and you got to adapt to it.
Yeah. You know, you and I have something in common, Greg.
What's that?
We both worked for the Bears.
What did you do?
In
95, you were what?
In 1994 and 95, I worked for the copier company that the Soldier Field had their copy machines in there.
Oh, okay.
So me and another gentleman, Vernon, who's been on our show before, he actually worked for them. I worked for him, and they gave us 2 passes to the press box for every home game. So we got to sit in the press box, you know, next to Andrea Kramer and Mark Giangreco and everyone. And they gave us Subway sandwiches. You know, they fed us, gave us food and drinks. The only thing was we couldn't cheer. We had to be completely silent because you're
not allowed to cheer in the press box.
Right. But with 3 minutes to go in every quarter, we had to go make copies of all the stats and then staple them all together. And then I had to hand them out to Mark Giangreco and Andrea Kramer and everyone. And we got to go to Platteville, stay with them in the dorms, ate all my meals with them, got to stand on the sidelines, almost had my knees taken up by a Jeremy Lincoln tackle. We got to go on the field. I went into the locker room one time, and I remember I walked in there, and all I saw was naked men everywhere, and I was like, no, I got to get out of here. And I turned around, and Dave Wanstead, I'm 6'2", and he's towering above me, and he's like, what are you doing here, kid? And I'm like, I got a press pass. He's like, what are you here for? I'm like, he's like, get out of here. I'm like, I'm out of here. So yeah, you and I have something in common.
I'll tell you, when we came in 01, that was the last year we went up to Platteville. And I just remember, you know, that drive up there is horrible. It's not like you can take an interstate the whole way. And then we had to come back for games and then go back. So you're going back and forth and stuff. It made it so much easier just going down to Bourbonnais.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that drive was awful. I remember because I went to many. When I was going there, I got a super speeder ticket because I was doing like 95 miles an hour because I was running late. Luckily, the police officer let me go without putting me in jail, which he could have easily done.
You know, speaking of speeding tickets, I mean, we're not talking about the game as we should be, but this was, you know, early in my career here. So I get a ticket in Gurnee.
Oh yeah.
On a side street for going like 38 miles an hour in a 30. And they get pulls it, and I go, you're not serious. And he's giving me a hard time. He goes, you're supposed to obey the speed limit. And I said, okay, but I was pissed. So I just said, you know what? You can write the ticket. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to get thrown out. He goes, why? I said, because I work for the Bears and we got people who take care of that stuff. And he just threw the thing at me. He goes, get the out of here.
Strings.
And
nothing became of it, right?
Nothing became of it. But we did. We had a fixer, so to speak.
Right. I bet.
And the guy he had to take care of a lot was Lovey, because Lovey had a heavy foot.
Is that the same fixer that took care of Lance Briggs's Lamborghini that was
no, I remember that though.
Yeah.
No, this guy took care of like He's an attorney, but he took care of, tickets and things like that.
Yeah, nice.
Right. So let's bring it back to football then. If we're going
Yeah,
to
let's
before you start making more confessions live on YouTube.
We've got some questions here from chat for you, Greg. Before we do that, though, I know that you and Aldo traditionally like to play this. So why don't we do this?
Man, I'm so proud of you guys. We took a short week. You took no shortcuts. We talked about the team that made more mistakes is going to lose that game. You guys didn't do it. You played your best ball for 60 minutes. Well done. Well done. Well done. All right, hey, there's a number of performances here that we got to talk about, but I'm only going to give out 2 game balls right now, all right? Give me the first one. Listen, this guy really should have had it for the last 3 weeks, and I've been wrong. I've been wrong, all right? But Shawnee, talk about turning the game. You're playing football.
Man, I appreciate all y'all. The organization, polls, everybody that allowed me to come here and do what I do best. And I appreciate y'all. I love y'all.
You're a ball player, boy. Ball player.
And like KG said, this only matter from this point forward. So let's keep it going.
Keep going, man. We got a couple backs that ran their asses off today. But let me tell you something. It does not get done without this offensive line. We do this. Yo, man. We're trying to put it on our back. That's how we want it. Hey. Let's enjoy this one, man. Let's get ready. Green Bay. Let's do it. Hold on. I know you guys are hungry for more, right? It's it. Let me tell you something. The city of Chicago's hungry too. Good, better, bad. Never let it run. It's gonna get better. It better get better. Bears on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh man, goosebumps.
That's brilliant. It's just brilliant, isn't it?
I've been in a lot of locker rooms over the years. I have never seen an excited locker room like these guys have this year. And it really is. And what you're seeing is the players are really buying in. Yes. And some of that stuff, like the good, better, best thing, it's really a high school cheer, and it maybe a little bit corny, but the guys love it. And so, just the whole camaraderie thing that they have going on, and tightness, I think is really special. And like I said, I didn't think we were going to win going into Philly, and we might be short side in this team. It might be a lot better than we think. And they still, Thursday or Friday rather was their best game, but we still haven't seen the best offensive game. Probably Dallas was as far as the passing game, but Caleb's going to all of a sudden put it together, and I don't know how they're going to stop this offense.
Oh my
God, no. I was going to ask you that, Greg. That's just one of those I prepared for earlier, was a quick assessment on sort of Caleb's performance. Obviously, his passing numbers were not so great, but in terms of managing the offense, I think
part of that was the win. So I'm not worried about the numbers. But, there's just some throws he should be making. I think he presses a little bit early in a game, but then kind of gets into a flow. But the important thing is he's making plays when he has to make plays.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And he's got the backing of the players. If you noticed, all the criticisms of him have gone out the window. You know, people that were saying stuff during the off season and the early part of the season, they've shut up.
It's so nice to see them being shut up too.
Yeah. And you know, so what are they going to say? And the same thing about the team with you notice we're not hearing. We were hearing a lot early on from cheeseheads and people from Michigan.
Yeah,
they all shut up.
It's all gone quiet, hasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to see the O-line get their props with the game ball. And I also noticed how they blocked out the light, those Giants, as they came into front of the camera there. Just see it all went dark in there. But we're going to go back to something I mentioned you mentioned it last week. I remember in the last week's show you talked about Trapillo because he came in for for Benedette, didn't he? And someone's been talking about it in the chat. Theo was fit, wasn't he? Obviously, and he only had 2 snaps on offense, so they obviously went with Trapillo. And you said that was going to be a coaching decision, and do you think it paid off?
Yeah, I do. You know what? I think the reason they did it is because as good as Benedette is as a run blocker, he isn't close to Ozzie as a pass blocker. Yeah. And that's really the most important job of a left tackle. Mm-hmm. And I thought the run blocking on Ozzie's part improved from a week ago to Friday. It was really, 4 days later. But he showed an improvement. He's going to continue to improve. Weeks ago, people were saying, we're going to have to draft the left tackle. And I said with Aldo a few times, I said, no, they got the left tackle. You might not see him this year, but as it turned out, Benedict doesn't get hurt a little bit, Ozzie might still be sitting. Mm-hmm. But you get your opportunity and you make the most of it. But I always felt that, they wanted – this is what I think is really nice about this coaching staff. Number one, they're very transparent, but they're not going to hand a job to anybody. Okay, a lot of times, and there's a lot of teams that will, given the fact that Ozzie was a 2nd-round pick and he was taken to be the left tackle, that regardless if he was ready or not, they were going to put him at left tackle and let him have his growing pains. This coach is like, no, not doing it that way. When he's comfortable, and I can trust him, and that's the big word, trust. It's the same thing with Luther Burden. You don't play until he trusts you. Mm-hmm. And you get trust by how you're playing in practice. So when he felt comfortable with Ozzie, he went with him. And now he's not going to take him out. The only way he comes out is if he gets hurt. Yeah,
totally. I think you're right. It's like an ego thing, isn't it? They're going to say, because I picked him in the 2nd round, I've got to play him because that makes my decision look bad if I don't. But he doesn't care about that. He just cares about
and part of it, though, was, again, is like I say, there's people who do it because of the way it looks and because you say, okay, he's got to play to learn. And if he's going to make some mistakes, we know he's going to make some mistakes. But Ben is like, no, I don't want mistakes.
Yeah.
So, when he's not going to make mistakes, and that was the big thing with Luther Burden. Wasn't Luther couldn't physically play. He made mental mistakes. Mm-hmm. And so when those ended, he got more play time.
And he was also injured for a little bit in the beginning too, so it took him a little bit to catch up, right?
Right. He missed practice reps, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. What do we do with Nashawn Wright when we're fully healthy in our secondary? I mean,
I think Ben already answered that. He ain't coming out.
So who is he going to replace? Stevenson.
That's the way I see it.
He's got the shirt from him at the moment, hasn't he? Because Stevenson was out with the shoulder, so he took his job. And like he said, if he keeps playing,
Jalen played Stevenson position. Jalen didn't go over to the other side.
Yeah. Jalen.
Now what they did is, they, because Jalen hadn't played in a while. I think he only played 30-something reps. I saw that Kevin Fishbane always puts the rep numbers in the Athletic, but
I've got them.
You got him. Yeah, you'll see that his number wasn't at the top. You know, there's plays he sat out, and the same thing with Kyle Gordon. You know, they wanted to kind of get him in. Now, I think this week you'll see him play more.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot the super chat.
Yeah, we got a $9.99 super chat from Let's the Reporter. Thank you so much. He's asking Greg, is the next game I should worry about the NFC championship game against the Rams? Humor on Monday?
If the Bears played the Rams in Chicago for the NFC championship, you want 15 to 20 degree weather, and it's a win.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing a warm weather. It's tough for a warm weather team to go in the cold. I'm not going to say they can't do it, but put it this way. 15 to 20 for the guys who've been here practicing in it is easy. You get a team that's used to 75 and 80, and you put them in 15, it's like 5 below.
It goes the other way around too. Like we go down to Miami, and you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You roast.
It's absolutely. If you ever been to Miami, man, it is. I absolutely melt when I go down that far.
Well, it's so humid. You know, I saw Buffalo for some reason doesn't, and that's one of the reasons they don't play as well down in Miami as they do when they play Miami at home. And part of it is that weather. Last year, the year before, they went down there and the heat factor was over 100 degrees and they played terrible.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Yeah, well, that's the same with the Bucks, isn't it? At the Raymond James Stadium, the visiting team sideline is in the sun, isn't it? And their sideline's in the shade. That's right.
And it's not quite as hot. It's hot in Tampa, but not quite as hot as it is down in Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go down to Miami in July or in January, and it's awful.
My stepson lives in Miami, and we went down there like 4 or 5 Christmases in a row. And there was 3 Christmases where Christmas morning we were out paddle boarding and doing other stuff in the bay there. And, you know, between Miami and Miami Beach, because it was just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
We've got
to go to the cornerbacks. You mentioned the defensive backs now. So you said the snap count, in case because you mentioned it. Jalen Johnson had 33 snaps out of the 54, which is 61%. And Kyler Gordon had 36, which is 67. So they kept him on a snap count, as we knew. And interestingly, someone just mentioned it in the chat about playing some dime. He played quite a bit of dime. CJ Gardner-Johnson was on the pitch for every defensive snap, along with Brisker and Bayard. So they definitely kind of filled that sort of linebacker spot with CJ, GJ, didn't they?
Right.
So yeah, they were the only. It was DeMarco Jackson had the green dot. So he was calling the plays in. Nashawn Wright, Brisker, Bayard, and Gardner-Johnson, they were the only 5 players that played every snap on defense. So it's kind of telling, isn't it? And I think, so Greg, I was going to ask you about that because of the defensive back situation. Obviously, all of our safeties are out of contract. Nashawn Wright's here for 1 year. When do the team start thinking about next year and like contracts and who they're going to keep? Would it be this early?
You know, right now, they don't really have the money to do much. You could negotiate a deal, theoretically get a deal, but not sign it because you don't have a lot of money. You know, I think they got $7 million. It might not even be that. Let me look it up here.
Yeah, I knew they wouldn't be signing, like making day changes now, but I wondered if they're sort of starting to negotiate or have plans for who they're going to keep, or are already speaking to their agents or something.
Another good question to add to that is, what do you think with this coaching staff and the culture that is being built? Do you think that will maybe allow some of the signings that players we want to keep or add to the team, maybe they'll take a little bit less to stick around to remain with this team? Or is it just like money?
It's a great question, Shorty. My history with that is, in most cases, players go where the money is.
Right.
Okay. So and part of that's the agent too. And I work for agents now. that's my job. But so I'm not saying any bad things about agents, but at the same time, if they do a contract for less than value for one of their players, the other agents are going to use that against them. So there's a competitiveness or competitive nature within that business to get good deals done.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there could be situations where the player just says, "Hey, if it's going to be a couple million less to stay here, I want to stay here. Do it." And what people don't seem to remember is that the agent's not the boss; the player's the boss. With young players, especially rookies, the rookies think they're working for the agent. Excuse me. And it's the other way around. But it'll be interesting to see, because they're going to have to make some rough, tough decisions. Theoretically, I think next year they only got a couple $1 million of cap space available, but that's assuming what they're going on, what they assume the cap is going to be next year. Now, this month, I think it'll probably be next week. There'll be meetings in Dallas on the regular December owners meeting, but the cap people go down there, and the management council and the cap people get together, and they give them an estimated figure based on what they think all the money's going to be to use up until, they find out the exact figure really about a week before free agency starts. But they get an estimate. Generally, it goes up $1.5 million more, maybe even $2 million when they get the final numbers in. But at least you know what you're dealing with. And they're going to have to make some tough decisions on some players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, Gardner Johnson coming off the street, Nashawn Wright, undrafted free?
Well, he's played 4 years in the league, but he's a minimum salary benefit guy.
Yeah.
He was on last time he was playing. He was on the Vikings practice squad. That's where we kind of got him from.
Yeah.
That's where he
so
was
he's making. I got off the page, but he's making like $1.5 million or something like that. Yeah. Which I'll take anytime.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Anytime. But now it's like except for the base salary of undrafted free agents, everybody's making at least $1 million when you figure in the bonuses.
Yeah.
Not
I want to get to some more questions here. Got YouTube changed their format, so everyone that we would recognize their names as is now their actual YouTube handle, and we're seeing that come out in waves. It finally hit the Barroom too, I noticed. So this is actually Black Diamond asking for Greg. Is this is the most confident I've been going into that team up north week in a long time. With that being said, would you agree that the Bears have a slight coaching advantage?
Oh, I think they have a coaching advantage, and that was, if anybody doubted how good this coaching staff is, you saw what their worth was last week. Short week going into one of the toughest places to play, playing against the defending Super Bowl champs who were coming off a loss, and they totally outcoached them.
Yeah,
and the team outplayed them. So yeah, that part's not an issue. The last time this team went to the Super Bowl was the 2006 season. We opened up in Green Bay, and that was Devin's rookie year. Devin had a return touchdown in his first game, but we won that game up there. Okay, we finished the season here against Green Bay on New Year's Eve. We did not win the game. We kept people off the thing. We
let them in the playoffs.
The game. Yeah, we were already set to be the number one seed. So we rested guys and we lost the game. So that's one Green Bay game that we lost that we literally handed to them. But other than that, I think we would have swept them that year. But Green Bay's a good team. I'm not going to take anything away from Green Bay. I'm not going to mouth off on social media till after the game because that just gets the cheesehead going, and then you're going to pay for it next week. But so you keep quiet this week, and after they win on Sunday, you tell the cheeseheads to go F you.
That's when you let them have it. Yeah, exactly.
Chris Watts is asking, you kind of just talked about it, but your thoughts on the coach, but mainly, are you going for the free hot dog?
That's today, and you got to go downtown. I'm not going downtown, not with all this snow out. We got I look outside here, we got a foot of snow in the yard.
Oh, my goodness. It's like 70 degrees here in Atlanta.
No, I don't know what the temperature is here. I'll tell you in a minute. I'll look it up on my phone.
D Starn is asking, what when you're done with that, what do you think of the media in Philadelphia?
The media, New York, Chicago, Philly, media stuff. I mean, you got to live with it. Media, I in all honesty, having worked there for a year, I think the media is tougher here. The fans might be tougher in Philly.
Yeah.
So I can't get this thing to. Oh, it's 28 degrees right now.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that's below freezing, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm probably wrong. I don't think it's actually 70 here. Oh, it's 50. Sorry.
You're only 20.
No, he's always exaggerating.
Big exaggeration. Gentlemen, I have to get back to work. So I'm going to leave you to at it. I want to thank you again, Greg, for giving us this opportunity to keep the show going. And Jason, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this with Greg for us. I really appreciate you guys. I'll have you on while I get back to work, but you guys have at it. I'll see you guys. I can take my lunch hour, maybe do do this with you every week, as long as we keep this going for, half an hour or something, and kick it back off to you guys. But thank you all for watching. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I will see you guys later.
Thanks a lot, Shorty. Take care.
See you later, Shorty.
And there he goes. And then there was two.
Yep.
Make sure you get to the questions in chat.
Yes, I'll try. Oh, look, he's telling me. Yeah. That's it. I'm driving this channel now. That's it. So that's about the media. That's the one.
I'm glad you're doing it because I'd be lost with that stuff in front of me.
I do try. Are you getting a bit of crackle on your microphone again, Greg? Just
well, it might be
on your zipper or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little better.
Yeah, we'll see how we go with that. Sounds better. Yeah. Someone's asking about there. Jason's saying about another Jason. What you would predict for this Sunday's matchup against Green Bay?
I didn't predict. I kept away from the Philly game. I'm going to keep away from this game. I want to see what the injuries are for both teams. I put it this way. I feel a lot better going into this game on the road today than I did a week ago after they did what they did at Philly.
Yeah, that's a huge confidence boost, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think Green Bay better be ready to strap it up because these guys are going to hand them a game.
And I think as well, I don't think there'll be any better coaching staff to get our team ready to go into Green Bay than the one we've got. I think Johnson will have them fired up, won't he, for this game?
There's no question. I mean, what he's got a lot of veteran coaches on this staff.
Yeah.
And they've been around. They know what they're doing. I had never met Dan Rochard. I knew of his reputation. The job he did down in New Orleans was just superlative. He had one of the best lines in football year after year after year. But the job that, really brought my attention to him was, they drafted Jari Evans out of, I think it was Bloomsburg State, Pennsylvania, which is a Division II league, the Pennsylvania State League. And I went to Bloomsburg to see Jari Evans. In fact, the day I went there, I had gone to Wellington Mara, who was the owner of the Giants. He had passed away a couple days before, and I went to New York to the wake. And then the next morning drove to Bloomsburg, which was about an hour and a half. from the Meadowlands, maybe 2 hours. And, went to see that, when you're going to see one player, it's pretty easy. But, you're watching the tape and you see this big guy who dominates Division II. But technique-wise was terrible. A lot of times in pass pro, he'd just stand up and he could just play with his opponents because he was bigger and stronger than them. But he didn't play with good knee bend. So in essence, very, very raw.
Yeah.
And so you just didn't know. You knew he had the talent. You could see the natural talent. You just didn't know. He's not jumping up one level. He's jumping up like 4 levels. And going to the NFL and how he's going to react. Well, then fast forward, there was an all-star game that doesn't exist anymore, only going on for 2 years. It was out in Vegas. It was really poorly run, but he was in the game. And in the one-on-ones, he just crushed people. And so there you saw the talent again. But still there was that worry. Could he make that jump? How soon before he's going to be ready? You knew he was going to be a pretty good player, but how soon before he's going to be ready? And New Orleans, pulled the trigger. I think they took him in the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. Pulled the trigger probably a little earlier than a lot of teams would have, given his background. And this guy was a starter from day one, and going to be a Hall of Famer. Guy's a hell of a player. But that was all Rochard did that. He's the guy who developed him.
That's cool. It's cool to hear. He's getting a lot of credit, isn't he? Certainly. And I think matching him to be able to coach up these linemen, then putting them into Johnson's scheme we're seeing the fruits of it. I mean, what they did on Friday to Philly was incredible, wasn't it? I think I could have run behind that O-line. Do you think Dennis Allen's getting enough credit for what this defense is doing? I know they're putting up a lot of yards.
He's not. He hasn't been playing with a full deck.
Well, that's my point exactly. It's he's
been playing with a lot of the pitcher cards out of that deck for a while, and both on the line and deep, and yet he's piecing it together, and they're playing well. I thought their most dominant performance or the best performance all year was at Philly, and they still didn't have starting linebackers in there.
Yeah,
you're going to have Tremaine Edmonds back. He's going to miss 2 more games still.
Okay.
And then you get him back. Hopefully you get him back right away. I don't know how long TJ is going to be out for.
Yeah, because they haven't put him on IR, have they? He's just sort of week to week.
Right, but he's been, doing limited or did not practice. Yeah. So, and he's got 2 different injuries, so who knows what's going to happen. Really, I'd like to see at least Sewell be able to play this week. So you've got at least some more depth.
Yeah, totally. Agree. I mean, and then we wouldn't see Gardner Johnson playing 100% of the snaps really on defense, probably.
Right.
Yeah. I think didn't all the underdogs win on the Thanksgiving week? I think from the Thursday games, all those 5 games, I think they were all underdogs, weren't they?
Again I don't pay attention to that, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I think because I know people are making a bit of a fuss about us being underdogs going into Green Bay on Sunday, but we seem to like that.
Hey, you know what? You got to go up there and play them. Might as well be now when you're high as a kite. You're
absolutely. This is what momentum.
5 wins in a row, 9 out of 10. Good a time as ever. And I don't think they're playing that great.
No.
I think they're kind of lucking out in some situations. Yeah, they beat Detroit on Thanksgiving, but Detroit is right now not terrible football team, but they're not a good one.
They've dropped off, haven't they? Definitely.
Yeah,
Detroit. And I know that Green Bay took a hit because they lost Tucker Kraft, didn't they, a few weeks ago? He was their tight end, and he was leading their team in catches, yards, and touchdowns. So their offense has definitely dropped off since then. I mean, they lost at home to the Panthers, didn't they, as well? So, there's hope for everybody, I think. But no, you're right. It's an absolutely great time to go into there. I think they're
a tie at home and a loss at home, so it's not impossible to go up to Green Bay and win.
Absolutely. I think the key, like you say, will be running the ball. I know that someone said it in the chat, is to to run the ball at Parsons. I don't think that's a guarantee, but he had 2.5 sacks last week, didn't he? Oh, sorry, at the weekend. And some tackles for loss. So he's
but no, they've had they've put developed their schemes, their blocking schemes in pass pro. They do something different every week, and they've been able to handle. They've played good pass rushers the last few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they haven't destroyed the game. Watt had that one sack on Caleb where he beat Darnell Wright, but other than that, the pass blocking's been pretty darn good. So and that's a credit to the coaches because of what they keep a tight end to help. Sometimes keep it back in to chip, and that's what they're going to have to do. Yeah, you're going to have to game plan to go against their edges, but it's not an impossible task.
And that's what they've been doing all year, isn't it? Like you say, we've played some elite pass rush.
It's not. I don't know. Last time I looked at the weather up there, and I think that was yesterday morning. The forecast was for a high of 21, a low of 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah. The game is a late afternoon game because they had flexed the game. Originally, it was supposed to be a noon central. Now it's at 3:25. Yeah. So I mean, it's probably going to be 10 degrees at kickoff.
That's pretty cold.
Yeah, it's going to be, and Green Bay's used to that. Chicago's used to it, so it's not going to be an advantage. Some guy from Green Bay sent me a text yesterday or a tweet, and he goes, "Well, Bears hibernate in cold weather." So I came back with, "Yeah, but meat packers won't even go out in the cold weather."
Exactly. I think for the first time in a while, we're actually looking forward to going and playing them, aren't we? There. I know we had a good result last year. But do you think it's an unusually open season this year? And there seems to be. There's no. I mean, I know that the Denver Broncos are kind of pretty hot. The Rams obviously slipped up, but they've been pretty strong all year. But other than that, I mean, is there anyone? Normally by now, sort of people are standing out, aren't they? But I think it's been quite an open season.
In the AFC. Buffalo has been up and down. They started out real quick, but the last few weeks they've been down. But yesterday they played. I don't know if you saw any of their game yesterday. They really played well on the road yesterday. Whether they can put it together right now, I mean, they got to beat New England. I think they're a game, but New England beat them in the first game. They got to go to New England and beat them. Otherwise, they're going to end up being a wild card team. But I think you're right. There's nobody. Well, if there's anybody, it's the Bears and Denver are playing the best right now as far as consecutive wins. So it's just we got to see if we can keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Brandon Lawson here. He's got a $2 super chat. He's saying, "Get well soon, Aldo. Have a good day, guys." Thank you so much for that, Brandon. We're all sending our sort of prayers to Aldo and his family, and we'll hear back from him.
Aldo will be. I think he's got a rehab session going on right now, but he said he will catch it later. So, excellent. And then he said, I said, buddy, we've got a real good chemistry. He goes, well, I just hope you don't have as good as chemistry with Jason.
We'll see. Yeah, I think I said to you before in our little meeting yesterday, I feel like he's like someone's lent you their sports car. So I'm never going to drive it the same way they do. I just want to look after it until I give it back, and that's how I'm viewing this. So
depends what kind of sports car they lent you.
Yeah, I guess it does.
I hope it was a nice one.
Brilliant. No, it's been It's I feel like Shorty said, a bit of pressure, but it's just great to chat with you, Greg. I love listening to you.
Yeah, no,
you're the kind of you're the weekly dose of let's everyone just keep calm, regardless of whether we win and we're all bouncing off a ceiling or whether we're like suicidal because the Bears lost. You're the guy that's football happens.
I said to you guys, Aldo and I have been doing this this is the 6th year we've been doing this.
Yeah.
And obviously the most fun this year because of all the wins and the craziness of the wins. I was jokingly calling the Bears the cardiac Bears after, about 3 of those last second wins, but it's fun. And I know in Hallis Hall on Mondays after a win, it's always fun. Now, I don't know because they totally rebuilt and reconfigured Hallis Hall, but it used to be when it was just the old building, and now football operations over on the other side. They built that whole new building for them.
Yeah.
But we were all in that same part, and there was like an eating area on the second floor, and when the Bears won, there was like a catered meal there for everybody in the building at lunch, and that was always a ball. But this year, how they do it now, because they got their own cafeteria there now and everything, so nobody has to leave the building to eat. I just don't know how they do that celebration now in the building, but it's still just got to be a lot of fun. I know when I was there, when we lost, it's like you didn't even want to talk on a Monday.
Yeah, I think you're right. Probably from the locker room scenes after the game, man. I think there's probably quite an atmosphere building there, isn't there? In that
Yep.
group. Yeah. To go back to some questions, then J2K has said, Greg, thoughts on Sweat and Grady? Both seem to be playing at a much higher level than the start of the season. What do you think of that?
Grady, I think Sweat getting used to this scheme, because it's a little different than they were in last year. I think it suits him really well. He had some bad luck early. There's a couple times where he had sacks and he lost the sacks because of penalties.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's playing really well. I don't know if Grady, part of it was new scheme, part of it was, he played his whole career in Atlanta, played with different people. So playing with different people on each side of him, getting used to the new people. He's not the biggest guy. You don't want him to play every snap, and they don't. They rotate the interior. I just think he's, and then he got hurt, and now he's healthy, and so he can really do more than he could do earlier in the year. So yeah, he's coming on, and that's what you need. You need these guys to come on and play their best ball. Now, in saying that, like Dexter's been playing good football. Now, you don't see some of this stuff in the stats, but when you watch the tape, you see it. But he had such a stupid penalty on Friday, where I mean, it wasn't like it was even close. He took like 3 steps and then hit the quarterback. So, and that you can't do that, especially in a situation where they're going to punt the ball, and so he's got to really be thinking about stuff like that when he gets in, especially now we got, 3 division games in the next 5. So he's really got to have his head screwed on right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Crucial. Yeah. Exactly. And under 49ers too, which is obviously a conference game as well. So that could count towards the seeding and stuff.
Right.
But you're right. Do you think what will happen to him in the locker room then? Will anything be said, or you're not going to get fined, obviously, maybe, I don't know, but what would they be a response from the coaches in terms of him in that play?
What you mean with Dexter?
Yeah.
Well, you really nothing. You probably would have said something on the sideline as soon as he came off the field.
Yeah,
but then when you got your film review, which will be today, I would think, they'll bring it up again, but they'll bring it up like to the whole team.
Yeah.
You got to be mindful. There's penalties and then there's stupid penalties.
Yeah.
Don't make a stupid penalty.
No, exactly. Yeah, you're right. I think, especially with that culture in the group, that's probably going to be quite powerful. The sort of shaming in the film room in front of everyone is probably going to make a big impression. I'll
tell you, there's some mistakes that you make and some are funny.
Yeah.
And your teammates won't let you live it down. They'll give it to you. So, and that's a good thing. That's part of the happenstance of being on a team.
Yeah, exactly. So this one I'm going to put here anyway because someone asked a question, but I think we're way too early and there's too much football to play before thinking about the off season. But Steve Rogers has asked, Greg, if the season were to end today, what's your opinion on the biggest draft positions the Bears need to address, projecting that Poles has re-signed our safety room?
Well, in all honesty, and I'm not avoiding the question,
Yeah.
Until, first of all, you got free agency and then you got the draft.
Yeah.
And I've said all along, what happens in free agency dictates what happens in the draft.
Yeah.
In this case, it's really almost pre-free agency that'll dictate what they do in free agency and then dictate what they do in the draft, because it's, a bunch of these safeties are out of contract.
Yeah.
So who are they bringing back? And it's going to cost some money. Byard's coming out of contract. He's having a Pro Bowl season.
Totally. Yeah, I was going to ask about him. I think,
Brisker's having a real good season. He's coming out of contract.
Yeah, all four of them.
The backups are all coming out of contract.
Yeah, safeties.
CJ's coming out of contract. CJ's a nickel and a safety. It'll be really, really interesting to see. That's why I said that, who are they going to pay and who are they going to have to say, hey, we just can't do it.
Yeah, especially with like Terrell Smith and Zay Frazier both not even showing up this season. So they got those two that are,
right. Well, and Frazier, to me, I mean, he wasn't a long shot, but he was a developmental guy.
Yeah.
Being that he played at the G5 level, it wasn't really a dominant player, but you could see what he had. He fit the mold of what Dennis Allen likes in a corner. He's tall, long, very athletic. And he's been there. He's been there all season. He just can't practice. So he's learning. And he's probably doing a lot of working out, but he just can't practice. But, yeah, and you're getting Smith back. I mean, the corner room is going to be really strong.
It's going to be insane.
But could somebody get traded in that group? Maybe, and you could probably get something really good for them too, because they've all played pretty well. It's just going to be really interesting, but it's the first time in a long time that there's going to have to be tough decisions made.
Yeah, exactly. The depth, because of the way they're performing.
But in fairness, I don't even want to think about it until we get done with the season.
Oh yeah,
because we're having too much fun in the season, and then see. Because now, part of it is, they're playing good now. We're 12 games in. There's 5 more games and then at least one playoff game. How are these guys finishing?
Yeah, agreed. I preface the question with that to say that I'm not even thinking about that. All I'm worried about is next week right now, especially with it being Green Bay.
Right. But as far as the draft, like a lot of people, got to get an edge. Well, now I know the numbers don't say Dial was playing good. The coaching staff will say he was playing real good. Okay, and then you've got Shamar Turner, who they drafted to be a tackle, who actually played for 3 years, played outside at Texas A&M, bulked up 25 to 30 pounds to play inside.
Yeah.
At Texas A&M. Found out that, he might be better outside. He can run now, too.
Yeah, he's got the traits.
And I said this with all. I said it wouldn't shock me that they get him down to what he was like earlier in his college career, have him get down to about 270. And you're going to see a pretty darn good edge player there. And so is edge really going to be that primary need? Well, if there's a real good one, you can't say no. But they're not drafting in the top 10. They're already out of that.
Yeah,
they're going to be on the other. They're going to be on the other side of 20, and so then it becomes, okay, who made a mistake and let somebody slip, type of situation. And we got to say we have no idea what underclassmen are going to be in the draft. We're not going to know that until the middle of January. So we still got 5-6 weeks to go before we know 6 weeks to go before we know who's actually going to be in this draft, and then obviously we'll start talking about it. But and I'm a broken record here, but it's who's staying and who's going.
Yeah.
Totally. and that's going to play into it too.
Totally. As well as the fact that Sweat seems to be now heading for a double-digit sack season. You don't know what we've got in Booker. He's coming back and he's playing some good ball. We'll have to wait and see.
Where Booker has really jumped out to me, and it's surprising, is how well he's playing against the run.
Yeah, because that was deemed as his weakness, wasn't it? They saw him as like
well, because he's just not big, and he's never going to get big. He's a little heavier than you think, but he's got that long, narrow frame. So, but he's just a lot stronger than he looks like.
Absolutely. He pancaked Orlando Brown, didn't he, against the Bengals? He put him on his back for that sack. Yeah.
That was impressive now, because, that's like a 350-pound dude he just pushed over backwards.
Yeah, hell yeah. So Relentless Mike is saying, Greg, is the propensity high for the Bears to get a number of turnovers from Jordan Love? I'm of the belief is you got to pressure him. You pressure him and hit him, he's going to make mistakes. Give him time, and like any good quarterback, they're going to make the throws. I think that's sometimes because there's this narrative about him putting throwing sort of risky passes, isn't there? I think he loves to sling the rock down the field.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback, as you great know.
Yeah, no, agreed. So yeah, I think he had quite an easy game against the Lions, didn't he? I think he wasn't put under pressure much at all. I think there was 0 sacks given up. So he had a good day, but yeah, we'll see how we go. I think it's because he's only had 1 or 2. Is it 3 picks this season, or is it? I can't remember.
Jordan Love.
Yeah,
I can go and try to find his stats here. Let me see here. It's going to take me a minute.
That's all right. I can queue up another little question here.
He's thrown for just under 2,800 yards and 3 interceptions.
That's 3. That's right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how we get after him in terms of the ball, because I know we said they were ball hawks, aren't we, man? The number of picks is insane this year from the Bears. D. Starren says, if I was a player on this team, I'd definitely take millions less to stay. So, Greg.
Yeah, that's easy for a fan to say.
Exactly. Yeah,
but,
I know.
But now look at it from the player's perspective, and I'm just trying to be neutral on this because I understand what the fans think. But your career is only so long.
Yeah.
And you've got X amount of years, might be 3, might be 4, might be 5, to make some really good money that can make a difference for the rest of your life. You're gonna take what you 99 times out of 100, you're gonna take what you can get.
Take the money. Yeah. Cool. Grant here has said, Greg, why is no one talking about Green Bay's defensive tackle Wyatt? Devontae Wyatt has gone out for the season. Rest of the year.
No, that means that that's going to help the run game.
Yep.
And they'll probably do something to scheme, especially the way the Bears ran the ball against Philly. I would try to run at Parsons, and I'd try to get what they tried to do with Philly was they did a lot of stuff, off tackle and outside, was they get the big guys to run, tire them out, and then they had it worked, and they doubled the time of possession on Philly. Well, you do that to any team, you're going to wear out their defensive line.
Absolutely. And do you think the Komet touchdown was kind of a result of that? They were running the ball at them so much because both the safeties dropped down, didn't they? Which freed up Komet to leak out for that touchdown.
Part of it, he ran a good route. They were thinking Caleb probably might run. Caleb is one of the few quarterbacks that I've seen that can roll left and throw. It's hard because you've got to adjust your body and get your feet set. But his arm is so strong that he doesn't necessarily have to set his feet. Now, in saying that, when you don't, the ball can be off target, it can sail, but he didn't have his feet set on that throw. He just tossed it, and it was a hell of a throw. So that's his talent that he has, and that's just God-given talent.
No, exactly. And that's why they got him first overall, wasn't it? Because I think there's not many quarterbacks that will make that throw. Like you said, it was off balance. He's going the wrong way, isn't he? He's rolling out
right, because throwing to the right, rolling to the right and throwing not that hard. Go to your left, it's very, very hard.
Absolutely.
Unless you're a left-handed quarterback.
Yeah. Mikey's saying what's interesting to him is that what players will want to come here next year. Do you think there's going to be a draw for players to come and play with Ben Johnson for a good Bears team?
Yeah, but again, that's free agency. It's about money.
Yeah. Okay.
And right now, yeah, you can figure ways to manipulate the cap, and they're going to probably have to do that because right now it says they got about $2 million, a little bit more than that. You still haven't restructured some of the big contracts you've done in the last few years.
Yep.
And all you do with that, there's a key to doing that. Number one, you'll only restructure a contract of a guy you know is going to be there. Okay, if you got question marks about a guy that you gave some money to, you don't want to restructure him because it'll come back and bite you in the ass. Okay, so let's say Montez they haven't restructured yet. What you can do to create money is, and I don't know what his salary is for next year, but let's just say it's $23 million because I don't have the thing in front of me. You can take 20 of that and turn it into bonus. And now it gets amortized over the rest of the contract and creates cap space versus having to pay it to him in salary. It doesn't change a thing for him. It really doesn't change a thing for the Bears, except they're paying him the money now and or sometime during the off season instead of paying on a weekly basis. And football players too, some fans don't know this. They only get paid during the season. Once the season's over, they don't get paid anymore.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So they get 1/18 of their salary
every week. Wow. Cool.
They're not paid during training camp. They get a training camp per diem.
Oh, okay.
But they're not getting any of their salary. Their salary is strictly for the regular season.
Oh, okay. I've learned something today. Squeegee's saying we have Green Bay twice in 3 weeks. How much of the playbook would you throw at them this weekend coming? So would you save some back for the second game?
No, because weather's going to play into it too.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, you've got a preliminary forecast that could change a little, but the coaches, they're working on Green Bay now, and they don't, they're going to, some of the stuff they're going to do is going to be based on what they assume the weather's going to be. And if the forecast changes, they can adjust that. But who knows what it's going to be 3 weeks from now? You'll find that out later. Part of it too is what kind of success did you have this week? What didn't work this week, and then go from there.
That makes perfect sense to me. Great. Right. Any more questions from anyone else in the chat? Just let us know. I think someone was saying here, would you try and lock down Gardner Johnson after the season if permits? I guess you've kind of answered that already, I think, haven't you, about do they sign their movies?
He's been kind of a nomad in the league.
Yeah.
I really don't know why. I wish I did, and I could probably make some calls to find out. But I know that he's been, and forget about the talent, I mean really good as a person, his ability to get along with his teammates, his work habits, all that has been exemplary. What some of the issues were, because Philly had him and then let him go.
Yeah.
And Detroit let him go. So why? I don't know. Now, Ben, the person that really knows the answer is Ben, because Ben had him in Detroit or was there in Detroit, so he'd know. But, we'll find out. And if they trust him, they'll probably do a deal. How long? I don't know. If there's issues, they might say, 2-year deal or something like that. But given what his history is, I don't think you'll see a team that was going to want to give him 4.
Yeah, no, agreed. Kai, I never know how to say your name. Kai Quay, or whatever his user is. Kay says that Allen had him too. I was going to mention that. He played for Dennis Allen at New Orleans as well, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was a while ago too. But he was a real young player then. But yeah, there is a familiarity between Dennis Allen and Gardner Johnson.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose he still would have had an input, wouldn't he? Dennis Allen would have certainly given him Ben Johnson his thoughts on Gardner Johnson too.
Yeah, I mean it's a collective decision. You sit around. Once the season's over, the coaching staff, they go over. And this has been my experience. Exactly how these guys will do it, remains to be seen. But you have meetings and positional meetings, and you go over each player in your group, and you decide, okay, what's he need? Do you want him back? What's he need to improve? What's his weakness? Can he get better? What's his contractual status? How old is he? What's the injury factors? There's a lot of different stuff that you talk about.
So would they do that?
You're literally doing that with every player on the team.
Yeah. That's crazy. We saw a bit of that, didn't we? I think from Hard Knocks. But would they do that before they approach the agent, or would they have an idea in their head they're keeping him, and then they would approach, or would that be part?
No, they're not going to approach the agent until they make a decision that you want him.
Okay, so you get that first, yeah. Cool.
Then you get into the talks with the agent. But again, you got to. I think the meeting's next week in Dallas. You're going to get an idea. There'll probably be something leaked out about what the approximate cap's going to be.
Yeah.
But teams will have that, and then you can start planning how you're your budget your cap next year.
Yeah. I say someone will leak it, and then everyone will be scrambling around trying to figure out add it into the mix, won't they?
Right.
Cool. I think I'm kind of out of stuff from me, mate. Unless there are any more of anyone in the chat, but I was gonna. Well, there's another one. I spotted it there about the Nashon Wright fumble. Man, the guy makes plays. Do you think that'll be something they'd have spotted and they'd have deliberately schemed, or is it just an opportunist play from Nashon Wright to go in and grab that fumble on the tush push?
Well, it's I'll go back to when we had Lovey. Creating fumbles was practiced every day.
Yeah,
it was part of the practice. I mean, you could be doing just 7-on-7, where supposedly there's not contact, yet the defensive backs or the linebacker are trying to strip the ball. They'd be stripping the ball in walkthroughs, and I'm not lying. Right. It was something that was just practiced day after day after day, and this team does that too.
Yep.
And when you do that, you get good at it. Now, I think that's only the second time that has happened in all the years Philly's been doing that tush push. But it's I think the first time it happened, a big guy caused the fumble. This was a defensive back who comes in and around and grabs it out. It was a remarkable play.
It's a hell of a play, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
It just like I say, ran around and he saw the ball and just ran in and pulled it out, didn't he? So
right.
And he did a hell of a job getting it.
And the thing is that they weren't going to make it anyway. I mean, even if they weren't going to get the first down on the play anyway. But I think wasn't that on third down, and they would have gone down fourth down. So they might have gone again had he not made it. But that's very rare that you see them stopped in that type of play.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was third down. It's 3rd and 1. And it was because they consider it like an almost guaranteed play, don't they, man? It was.
Yeah.
And
if you look at a lot of slow motion things from the sideline, Philly's always offsides on that.
I know someone else has said that.
All the time. Their guards are moving a little bit ahead of the ball.
Yeah. I guess they'll never stop. They'll never pick it up. If they haven't spotted it now, the refs, I guess they never will. But yeah, we can moan about it all we like, but I think we found a way to stop it.
Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. Well, I've exhausted my question sheet. I think the chat have kind of dried up. So I'd just like to thank you, Greg, for
it's been
on the show.
It'll be even a little better next week. I just hope we're talking about a win.
Oh yeah, that'll be a hell of a victory Monday, won't it? If it's we can beat the Packers, that'll be a huge game in terms of the playoffs and the division, won't it?
It's just talking about the Packers. See, a lot of these new players really won't know the rivalry.
No.
Like, the rivalry is with the fans, ownership, players that have been here because they've lived the game.
Yeah.
some of the new players haven't been through it, so it's up to the older or the other players to really fill them in on the intensity and what it's all about. And that works the same way with Green Bay. You know, it's a special game.
Yeah.
But once the players are here, they know it. I mean, like you'll see, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if you already tweeted it out, but Olin Kreutz, you know, he every year when we play Green Bay week, and he knows he's lived it.
Absolutely, it's a massive game, isn't it? For all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, for once we're looking forward to it, aren't we, Greg? It's we're not going in frightened. I think this time. I know we've always got a little bit of nerves because it's Green Bay and of our recent history, but
well, hey, last year they went in with a skeleton roster.
Yeah.
Really, no coaching staff. And Green Bay fans will say, well, they didn't really have to win the game. Yes, they did. It meant where they were going to be seated.
Yeah.
And they beat them. So I don't want to hear from anybody that you can't win up in Green Bay because that was a slapdick team that went up and beat them.
Absolutely. We were on a 10-game losing streak as well, weren't we? That was our first win in 11 games, man. And to be fair, we probably should have swept them last year. It was only a blocked field goal.
Right.
That saved them at Soldier Field. So, yeah.
There's some teams you just match up good against. You know,
Absolutely.
and that's in fact for a long time, not so far this year because they blew us out, but they seem to match up usually pretty well against Detroit.
No, you're right.
But then division games have a way of doing that. So
yeah, exactly. Great. Well, I guess I'll kind of wrap it up then. So again, thanks again, Greg. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you. Thank you to everyone in the chat. And we'll always send our best wishes to Aldo. And hopefully we'll see him back soon.
We'll see you guys next week after another win.
Absolutely. Let's go Bears. Catch you later, Greg. And
Okay,
see you everyone.
see you later. Thanks.
Thanks.